Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And today, it's Saturday, and you know what that means. It means it's time to review last night's episode of Friday Night Smackdown. I'm excited. A lot happened. It's WrestleMania season. And who better to have joining me than the guy who's going to WrestleMania? And in fact, it's in his home state. And that man is the head of opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. How are you, Anthony?
I'm doing all right. You know, luckily, Ben, I was the only one available to do the show today,
Yeah.
so this helps. But you know, the Mania season is always the most fun as a fan. Doesn't matter where it's located. You know, it's in my hometown this year, which is the first time in 25 years. I was at the last one. I intend to be at this one. So I'm very excited on the road to WrestleMania, more so than other years.
Absolutely. No, it really is, like you said, the most exciting time to be a wrestling fan. And this year, like you said, it feels more exciting than most years. But I don't even just think it's because of where it's going to be. I also think it's because of how unpredictable it feels.
Yes.
Like, in a second, we'll get into it. But, like, there's, like, genuinely 5, like, realistic ways that, you know, this thing could go. And that's crazy. Like, you don't see that much in wrestling.
It really is weird. The past couple of years have really been very unpredictable. And I think you and I have had this conversation both on and off air. From like 22 on, it's been absolutely insane. And you posted just all the insane stuff that happened just in the first month of the year. I mean, it's absolutely insane that even the year that went by, that like this time last year, we were all figuring out going to LA. Like the fact that it's a year later, like it's wild how quick that year went. But this year WrestleMania, they want to go special. It's the 40th. It's the first one under TKO, and obviously you want to push away the black cloud that has been over the company for the past couple of weeks. So it makes sense that they're going to go all out.
Absolutely. I mean, bringing Rock in was a genius move to do that realistically. Because for a different reason, I think they thought. I mean, we don't know. Maybe this was the plan. I hope it always was the plan, but we don't really know. But I think they expected the reaction to be, oh, The Rock's back. This is really big news and all of this. And in fact, the big news was Cody's been screwed out of his opportunity. And that became the biggest story. But it was because of The Rock's involvement. So maybe it wasn't the way they expected it to happen, but it's had the same effect, and it really, really was. Of course, Thursday night now? A couple of days ago, we watched the press conference. Yep. I stayed up late for it, and I mean, truly, I know you guys talked about it yesterday, but it truly, truly was just a phenomenal press conference. It was one of the best things WWE have probably done in recent times, to be honest, but you came out of it feeling fully entertained, feeling like they gave you, I'd say, your money's worth, although it was free anyway, but even still, your money's worth.
It's worth your time.
But
for sure.
Yeah, you're worth your time. Yeah. But not only was it worth your time, but you came out of it wanting to know more, asking more questions. And that's the genius of it. Like, they gave us enough, but left us wanting more too. Like, they balanced out perfectly. But obviously, going into SmackDown last night, they had to capitalize on this momentum. They really, really did. And they originally advertised Cody. Obviously, Cody didn't show up. I think
he did a dark match with Solo. I think.
I
think I saw somebody posted. I think he did a solo dark match. I believe.
That would make more sense because he was advertised for the show. And last week on SmackDown, he was advertised as well. So it was a bit weird. But obviously, they didn't have Rock. They didn't have Roman. Their options were limited. But they didn't do what, they didn't just do nothing. Or they didn't just have Cody come out and, say a promo where he's basically saying nothing because they're waiting for The Rock and Roman. What they instead did was have Triple H come out. And he's not regularly on WWE programming, but he came down to the ring and he cut a promo, said that, I'm the boss here at WrestleMania. It's going to be Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. That's the decision. Cody's choice. And if you don't like it, well, actually, what was it he said?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what you think. It was great. It really, really was. I mean, coming out of this promo, there were so many shots Triple H took towards The Rock. I mean, this entire promo was basically just him chucking out, insults out there. I mean, listen, the speculation, not even speculation, but some fans are thinking today online, maybe, just maybe, could they be setting up Triple H versus The Rock? Is Triple H coming back for one final match? Obviously, we know he's got a pacemaker, but that hasn't stopped other people before, such as Ric Flair.
Woo!
I mean, do you think it's possible, Anthony?
It's funny that you asked me this because a buddy of mine that I went to high school with sent me a message. He's actually a comedian now, Steve Rinaldi. There's your cheap plug. I know you're a Foley fan, so I gave you that. He actually sent me a message and asked me that question. And it's funny because my first thought was, I don't see Hunter risking his life for one more match. I think he's very happy with, he didn't get to have that last match, but he's had an incredible run. I think he's living vicariously through his NXT kids at this point, and the talent that he's putting out there. So I don't think so. Now, funny enough, I don't remember how many years ago it was. It's been a little while, but I remember it was some anniversary SmackDown that actually took place, funny enough, in Philly, and The Rock was on it, and they teased Rock Hunter one last time. And it made me think of that. I'm going, I don't think they would do it because of the situation. I just don't. I think it's more likely that you could do the whole power struggle. I'm the head of creative, I'm the head of the board, or whatever. They want to go that route and do like a little power struggle thing. And because we know they have chemistry, they can go back and forth. And you can always get a surrogate for Hunter, whether it's a guy that like Randy Orton that's close with him, whether it's Cody, the heir to the throne, if you want to go that route. You could go completely outside the box, but it would have to wait, would be Punk, because obviously he has history with Rock, and the visual of him representing Hunter of all people, that's another thing. Like, these pieces fell into place for them that just a year ago you would not have thought of. Oh, okay, The Rock and CM Punk are back in the company. Yeah, because that was perfectly believable at that time. If we would have said that at 39, CM Punk's going to be back, Soul would have killed me right there and went blasphemy. Clark wouldn't have believed.
Yeah.
No, like, I wouldn't even believed me at that point if I would have said that. So, I mean, it's a wild thing. I mean, the other thing that I had mentioned to you and I thrown out on the show yesterday, the other possibility is, and I know they're probably going to go triple threat. That's where I think this is going anyway. But if there's a power struggle and let's say Hunter gets forced out by The Rock on paper, what if he makes a return at Mania and goes, and during the match, and he goes, I can't fight you, but he can. And the glass breaks and Austin comes out. One last time, Austin Rock. The location where they very first faced each other at Mania, 25 years ago at 15. Just the look, because The Rock would sell the hell out of that. And you could totally do that in that, because it's triple threat, no disqualification, let's say, well, the bloodline. Having Austin come down and just waylaying the bloodline and fighting Rock off, and you're down to just Cody and Roman at that point, you could do that. The other, do you mind me spitballing here with this?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, the other thing we talked about before the show, I saw something online that I thought was absolutely brilliant, and I'm sorry I don't remember who posted it, because I would give you credit for it because it's absolutely brilliant. Somebody suggested making CM Punk the guest host of WrestleMania, having The Rock cost Cody the match, assuming it's still one-on-one, and Punk gets his revenge on The Rock by coming out and doing the same thing that The Rock did to him at the Royal Rumble in 2013 and restarting the match so that Cody could win, which I think is a brilliant move if you do that, because if Roman wins, that Philly crowd will be 100% hostile. And if you have that and you get Punk's music to hit, and Punk outside of Chicago, I think Philly is the other location for him that like he's so over because of his Ring of Honor ties for back in the day.
Yeah.
That pop in that building, if he comes
Electric.
out and goes, no, that's not how this is going down. Like, especially if Hunter named Punk the guest host before he's fired by The Rock, and it's an ironclad contract or some nonsense that The Rock can't remove him as host. I think that would be a smart play if you go that route. There's so many things you could do with this, and there's so many ties that it makes it work. Now,
Yeah.
as far as the promo goes, I loved it because just the visual of him with Aldis and Pierce by his side, like the powers of the company, and him just saying, "I'm not backing down from your Rock. Like I don't care." And because we know they have so much history, it works, and they could do a lot with it. And this heel Rock, for people that haven't experienced this is his best stuff. When
Oh,
he's
it
a
is.
heel, it is his best stuff. And Gewurz has said, his personal writer, his favorite writing for The Rock was him as a heel. The Hollywood heel was his favorite one, and we know he's involved in this because anytime The Rock comes back, Gewurz is with him. So he's involved, and you look at like Gewurz, Hunter, Paul Heyman. You have these people involved in this creative. This is why this is working, because these are the best people that could possibly come up with stuff, and it will be enclosed. That's why there's speculation whether or not this started all the way back in possibly 39. It'd be a very small group of people that would know and not people that would leak to the dirt sheets.
Exactly. That's what I was saying yesterday, and I got a lot of criticism for it, but it's true. It's true.
So either this was a long play or a pivot. Either way, the people that are involved are the ones not getting to the dirt sheets. We saw SI get fooled by stuff that got leaked. Like, stuff that gets leaked is stuff they want to get leaked, or they don't care if it gets leaked. They didn't want Punk's leak to get out. It didn't get out. When they want things not to leak, Cody went in the Rumble. No one had Cody win. I mean, really, for the most part, people were like, nobody knew for certain it was Cody or Punk. That's where most people were leaning, I think.
Yeah. In fact, Cody's odds went way down right before as well, which is usually an indicator of the dirt sheets. But I do want to get some of these comments here. I mean, we've got NYC official boss man saying that it would be crazy if Punk hosts. And Ken.G.A agreeing with you as well, saying that long-term storytelling would be insane. Soul is saying that he may feel like death, but this daily should be fun.
Thanks, Soul.
Soul had a bit of a heavy night last night, I think, out on the town. We got Jason in the chat saying Triple H definitely delivered for the opening of the show. It was great, and Triple H wouldn't be worth the risk in the ring, but it wouldn't be able to, put on the show. The fans would want maybe Survivor Series next year. Team Triple H versus the Rock's Bloodline.
You could.
That's fascinating. We got Bobby Petito here as well. Hello, Bobby. And Itachi saying, I don't think Triple H is in the condition to face anybody. And yeah, I agree with you. But like you said, Anthony, there's so many different ways they could go about this. And of course, in that office when he had that interaction, they all had that interaction between each other. Bron Breakker came in. You mentioned a few guys who Triple H could get to step in for him. How about a debuting Bron Breakker? I mean, what better way to, throw somebody, in the deep than to have Triple H put his own, name on him and say, hey, I want you to fight for me. I think you're the next big thing. Bron Breakker versus The Rock. I don't believe it's happening, but it would be crazy.
I mean, that's the thing we don't know. We don't know if The Rock is coming back for just one, or this is a possible couple matches. Like, we really don't know. Like, that's the fun part of this, because we really don't know. And there's a number of things you can do. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do that would be really special moments. Like, if Hunter at some point hands Cody a sledgehammer, fans will make that connection. It's almost a passing of the torch, if you will. I mean, there's a number of there's a lot of creative
passing of the hammer.
Yes, there's a lot of creative things you can do with all of this. And that's the fun part, because all these pieces connect in weird ways that, I don't know if there's a wrong answer. I mean, obviously they realized there was a wrong answer when they when they pretty much screwed Cody over a week ago,
Yeah.
or at least that was the perception. If it's one of those things that if it ever comes out after all this is done, and let's say this was a long-term work and wasn't just a pivot, there's going to be a portion of the audience that will never believe it. The same way there's a portion of the audience to this day that still thinks that there was a double swerve with the screw job in Montreal, that Brett was in on it. Like, I mean, it's one of those things that will never die. So it's like, even if the people admit that it was a work the whole time, no one's going to believe it. People are going to think it's a pivot, and it doesn't matter. As long as it works, who cares? I don't care.
Exactly.
Either way, they're brilliant. Either way. But I know with Paul Heyman and stuff, I know we wanted to get into Paul Heyman with going into the dressing room.
Yeah.
I loved Hunter getting mad at, like, going, "What do you want?" Like, it was just, and then Paul, like, slowly cowering out, but then throwing in, "I will be here next week with Roman and Rock," like a threat. Which, this is, everyone knows the road to WrestleMania. Mania is the main focus, and I feel bad for the Chamber, because yes, it's a major show, but like, no one cares. It's in the grand scheme of, it's Rumble, it's Mania. The Chamber's kind of a speed bump on the way, like, in a lot of ways. I mean, it sets up the matchup for Seth and stuff like that, but like, really, all eyes are on Mania in 50.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Chambers in an 80,000 seat stadium. Yes. In fact, I think the attendance might be more than WrestleMania. It competes with it, and yet we're still. I mean, that's how hot WWE is right now. When you're hot, and WWE certainly is hot. NYC official Bossman saying, "Do we stream anywhere else?" We're live right now on Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, now known as X, and of course on YouTube as the primary platform as well.
We haven't got the Netflix still yet.
It's exciting. Yeah, we're not on Netflix yet. Maybe they can throw a few of that, $200 billion deal. Hopefully they can throw, a few million our way, let us eat some food. But as of right now, we're on everything else.
Yeah.
But let's now move on. Let's move on and let's talk about the Elimination Chamber. You just mentioned it, the qualifying matches, those qualifying matches which were announced, because they just went straight into one, and that one was AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre. I said it in Allison Analysis, and I'll say it again now. What a better way to open a show than with two former WWE champions facing each other. And this match was fun, but it was so obvious the second LA Knight came out at the start of the match what was going to happen. It was so obvious Styles was going to get, screwed over in some way or something. And it happened, didn't it? It's the old thing. What did you think about this, Anthony?
I thought it was a strong opener. It was a smart play. Two former champions, both in WWE and technically in TNA as well.
Yeah.
So, I thought this was a strong match. Going in, you kind of knew, okay, McIntyre's probably going over in this, presumably. It is funny, there was one moment with LA Knight before he got pushed that his water bottle flipped over and the water was, I'm like, are they going to have AJ slip on this? Like, is this like part of this like weird thing where they're going to do a count out or something like that? Like, I don't know why. Like, I didn't know if it was intentional. You start drawing, like, is that where this is going? Like, no, it was an accident probably.
That would be bad.
I mean, Vince would have booked
slips on the water.
Vince would have booked it that way. But again, you watch stuff and you don't know if things are intentional or accidental or whatever. So you never know with this type of thing to protect AJ that he didn't get pinned. Like, you never know if they would do a count out or something. But it was strong. It was smart. Drew going over was the right move. I think Drew is the smart choice because they've been building the heat between Seth and Drew. So it makes sense, because this is all going towards Seth anyway. So it's a smart move, I think.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you there, absolutely. I mean, we got a couple more comments. We got Soul saying, how do you guys feel about AJ no longer being associated with the OC? Is the OC now a dead faction? I mean, I laugh about this, right? Because I've spoken to Carl Anderson quite a few times before, and he's a very honest guy. He really, really is. He will just openly tell you that he is just about the money. He really, really will. And it's so funny. They just came back to WWE to just do the too sweet entrance with either Michin or Styles every week, and now not even Styles. That's what they came back to the company for.
Well, isn't their deal? Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't their deal that they don't have to go to TV unless they're going to be used? Isn't or is that just a
I
rumor
think
out there?
I think that's I've not heard that. I mean, they're backstage on like nearly every show, so I'd be surprised if that's the
Yeah.
case because you see them in the background on like every episode of SmackDown, even when Styles was out. They were like running out to make the saves or something.
Yeah.
They just like they just love using them for absolutely nothing. And they just seem to be really happy to be there. And part of me is like, this sucks because Carl Anderson, 10 years ago, New Japan Pro Wrestling, he was insanely talented in the ring. Insanely talented. And it feels like he's just kind of wasted that. But on the other hand, I kind of just respect it too. I just kind of respect it. Like, he's just like, I just want to get paid. I don't want to hurt my body. I just want to get paid.
Well,
Fair enough.
I think a huge part of that is the fact that like how they were shown the door the last time after signing a new contract, and they still got shown the door. So now it's like, okay, you're going to pay us more. We don't have to do nothing. Okay, like from that perspective, I get it. Like I think their mentality is okay. We've established ourselves as a tag team. Neither one of us are probably ever going to be world champion of anywhere at this point. So it's like you're going to pay me how much? And all I got to do is do this. Oh, okay, I could do that. Like it's a nice gig if you can get it.
Yeah, it really, really is. Then they're making some serious dough for, just doing a lot of traveling around basically and doing a few too sweets. That's about it. But let's now talk. I mean, this is a very good transition.
This is what, about 50,000 per appearance? Something
Yeah,
like that?
probably, yeah. A good 10 G's each time, you throw them up. But talking about them, they obviously came to the ring with Michin to take on Bianca Belair. And Michin, right, she's losing nearly every week. She is. That's what's happening. But in every single week, she's looking really good in the ring. And like about a year ago, maybe 6 months, a year ago, people were on social media being a bit mean towards her in-ring work. And the last, couple of months, she's been losing a lot of these matches, but she's been putting on just great matches, consistently great matches. And Bianca Belair, we've spoken about it, hasn't been on the greatest in-ring form as of late. She hasn't. She's looked a little bit wobbly at times. But last night, she looked fantastic with Michin. I mean, I think Michin deserves more credit. I really, really do. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a shame because even the confusing part was, remember they went back and forth between whether calling her Mia Yim or Michin, and they couldn't decide. They were going back like every other week. It was whatever name, but she's an incredible talent. But it's one of those situations where I don't know if they know how to book her. Like it just in the grand scheme, like she's been so muddled in a lot of ways. There's certain talents that like they've tried to push and not at the same time at different points, and it gets to a point where you're like, I don't know if you could resurrect that. Like I think in a lot of ways, and not directly tied to it, but like somebody like Austin Theory's been repackaged a million times. Finn Balor went to NXT twice. Like I mean, they've repackaged certain people, and it damages the brand. So even if you try to push the person, you kind of have that negative connotation of going, well, you've done it a few times. But Michin's somebody that I think you can get behind. I think she is a talent that you could run with if you're willing to commit with her. But the problem is I don't know if they're willing to do that. Going into this match, I'm looking at it going, well, Belair is going to go over. I'd be very surprised if they'd have Michin go over her and get in the chamber as opposed to Belair. Unless it would, especially clean. I didn't think they would do it.
Yeah.
But Belair is somebody that she's an unbelievable talent. Coming out of the Rumble, we wanted to see her against Jordan Grace. To be honest, like that's really the match we kind of wanted. But I think it's going to be interesting. I think the chamber. I have not looked. I know there's a spoiler out there. I have not looked at the results. All I know is from the group chat. All I've heard from the group chat is it's stacked. So, okay, I'm looking forward to stacked. Other than that, that's all I know. But, but yeah, this was a very solid match. I'm hoping this isn't a Meechin's back in catering next week or just in the back doing Too Sweet. Like, I hope it's something comes of it.
Too sweet, 10K. That it's simple as that. But no, I do agree with you completely. They needed, to be honest with you, all they need to do is just give her more TV time. Have her put on matches like this every week, even if she's losing, it's fine. And she'll slowly get more of a connection with the crowd. Because with some people, like, Meechin wasn't getting, like, none of a reaction during her match. Like, Tegan Nox, for example, right now, she's wrestling and the crowd are just silent. Meechin was getting reaction during her match last night. She wasn't super over, and it was for the match itself, not her. But, I mean, they are linked. They're very much so. Just keep putting her out there. Even if she loses most of the time, give her a match every couple of weeks. And I think, which is what they've been doing for the last couple of months now. And I honestly do think that they have some plans for her because she's on TV so regularly. I don't think they want her to become, the next main event talent, but I think, a solid mid-carder. And that is what she's quickly becoming. She's becoming very reliable and consistent, which is the most important thing when you're a mid-carder, because the more you show that, like The Miz has done, the more opportunities at a slightly bigger stage you get when, opportunities are there and maybe the main card has some injuries or something like that, and an opportunity arises. They go to the main card. Who are they going to choose? They're going to choose the consistent performer. And talking about consistent performers, all of Damage Control are consistent performers, but they are no more as a faction, as of course we found out last week. Bayley last night came to the ring to cut a bit of a promo of just about nothing before Dakota Kai interrupted her and came out and said, "Oh, I know that I knew that they were going to turn on you, but I thought you winning the Rumble was going to change all of it. And last week I had, stuff on, blah, 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 blah." It was just tons of excuses, and I thought Dakota Kai, who I'm a big fan of, I thought her acting was absolutely atrocious. I thought this came off just absolutely lame. And I thought it was straight up bad, if I'm being completely honest about it. That's a hot take, but I'll stick by it. Unless, and this is a big unless, because I think this might be what they're doing. Unless this is all an act, and Dakota Kai's actually still with the remaining members of Damage Control, and she's going to turn on Bayley in a couple of weeks too, and then everybody's going to feel even more sorry for Bayley. If they do that, I actually think this is great, and I actually take back what I said about Dakota Kai's acting, because in that situation, her acting was actually phenomenal, and it teased it well. But what did you think, Anthony?
One last thing I do want to say, what you could do with Meechin. I would love to see WWE, not just with her, but do those promo packages to tell you about the person, whether it's the personal stuff. Like, I think that would help to connect with the audience. But the Damage Control thing, this is one of those things. I agree with you. It's bad acting. I don't. What I'm afraid is going to happen is that she pals around with Bayley. Bayley believes her, and she turns on her at Mania and costs her. That's what I'm afraid of.
That's too late. Do it before Mania.
But, well, from Maximum Impact, you do it at Mania to cost Bayley her moment. But really, I don't want to see that happen. Personally, I get they're doing stuff, but like to me, like Mania, especially the 40th, you want happy endings in all these situations. Like, you want the crowd to go home happy. Personally, I know you want to build with stuff, but I think you could do stuff with it. But it's funny because Damage Control in a lot of ways, like AEW's Outcasting, like they both criticized, but the Outcasting just kind of like disbanded as far as I know. Like that never went anywhere. Damage Control is actually going somewhere finally. This is finally going to some, because we all buried it of going, what a Clark's famous with Damage or the Control. Why'd they get together? Clark and I have said that constantly, but now it kind of matters. But yeah, like I agree with you. Bayley's promo was okay, fine, whatever. It was what it was. If I'm Bayley, I think it's smart to play up. She still doesn't trust Dakota. I wouldn't. So everyone else in my friend group has turned on me, but I'm supposed to believe you're not in on it? Nah, you gotta. So, I think it's smarter for her to take on all of them. Now, granted, probably, well, Mercedes is not in the projection to come in to help her old friend, but I mean, there are other people that Bayley has ties to that could help her fight them off. she could randomly get people from NXT, which is what she did to put Damage Control
Yeah.
together in the first place.
Damage control again.
Yeah,
But this time she'd be controlling damage, or at least there'd be a purpose behind it.
I mean, you could do that and have warring factions. Like the warring faction stuff works. I mean, they're doing it with the LWO stuff. I mean, you could do it with these things, and I think it gets interesting. I think you can go different angles with it. So I'm optimistic considering how they've been booking everything else right now. They know what they're doing with this, so hopefully it comes it pulls together.
I mean, I said last week, I said I thought they did this turn far too early. I thought they skipped a chapter of it. And the reason for that as well is, you know, the later it's 2 months until Mania pretty much right now. If you wait all that time, fans, you know, you risk fans losing that sympathy for Bayley because it's been so long. But if you have Dakota Kai turn on her like few weeks before the event, and for Bayley to, you know, feel like, oh, it's pretty much 4 against 1 at WrestleMania, something like that, even though it is a one-on-one match, you know what I mean. That would just add another element to it. And then, like you said, you can do the happy ending with Bayley coming out on top, and I think that would really be good. We got Itachi who keeps commenting this, so I will answer it, saying, what if Nick Aldis comes to the aid of Triple H?
He could be the surrogate. He
maybe.
could be the surrogate. I mean, he's still, you know, former NWA World Champion. He's relatively young. He could still go. I mean, in theory, he could, but I don't see Nick Aldis against The Rock. So,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
In all due respect, I mean, I just don't see that. But I get where you're going with it, though.
Bobby Petito is looking forward to Shotzi versus Tiffany Stratton next week. I bet Shot is looking forward to that as well. And Jason saying, do you partner with Bayley to take down Damage Control? Yeah, you definitely could do that. And Bobby Petito suggesting, how about Cora Jade or Roxanne Perez to help Bayley? I think Cora Jade's out of the picture for the time being, unfortunately.
I think Roxanne, though, is definitely a possibility.
Yeah,
I mean,
would make sense.
She would fit. Shotzi would fit. Like those two would fit backing Bayley up. I mean, if they really wanted to go out there, they could bring in AJ Lee if she was interested, because that would fit. You know.
We gotta talk though about the tag team match, Elimination Chamber, of course. Who will face the Judgment Day? Well, there was a number 1 contenders match last night, DIY versus Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. And for the past 3 years, I've been asking myself, what are they doing with Pete Dunne? Because Pete Dunne is young. He's got so much potential. He should, when he got to the main roster, he should have been taken seriously from the start of it. Just because he's so young, they can make so much money out of this guy. And a couple of weeks ago, I figured it out, right, Anthony? Because I was flicking through Instagram and I see Pete Dunne has gone to a football game, or as you guys call it, a soccer game, and he's gone to a. Gonna have to excuse me. This was rather gross to say, but a Tottenham game, and I realized he was a fan of them, and now it all makes sense.
Now you're no longer a fan of him.
No, I'm not. It all makes sense now as well. He's got all the hype behind him. Everybody thinks he's going to do well, and then it gets to the championship level, and he fails every single time, just like Tottenham do. He chose the wrong North London side, and that is why he's not going to beat the Judgment Day, but he will get a shot as Dunne and Bate defeated DIY. What were your thoughts on this match?
I'm assuming this is why you preferred it if he was still called Butch, because punishment. You know, this is one of the. It's kind of fun when I look at this, and I was asked about this yesterday too. You know, they've slowly built up, you know, DIY again, and they've slowly built up Bate and Dunne, and you know, after watching this match, I'm going, I gotta be honest, I'd like to see these two in like a series of matches, to be honest, because I think they have phenomenal chemistry together. You know, it ended in a way where either one could have went over, because WWE has always struggled with tag teams. Outside of the you know, Dudley's, Edge, Christian, Hardy's thing, you know, their history, and even the Outlaws prior to that, like they've always never really focused on tag teams. And the excuse during that time was always, well, the head of creative at the time didn't like tag teams. He's not in the picture anymore. He'll never be in the picture anymore. So you know, when you're building it up, I would love to see them build up the tag team division to matter again. Whether or not they do with this, I don't know. I think, at some point you're going to probably split those tag belts up. Or if you don't, you're either way, you're probably going to get them off of Balor and Priest, because I'm assuming you have other things in mind for Priest. And Balor, I don't know where he falls in this. So whether or not Dunn and Pete Dunn and Bate end up taking the tag titles, I don't know. I'm not sure where they're going. I'm assuming originally I thought the Creed brothers were the odds-on favorite to probably take it at
Yeah,
Mania.
that's what I presumed.
And that would be my guess. My guess is they're going to be the ones that really build. But if you have teams like DIY, you have the Bruiser, whatever they're calling themselves, the Bruiser. They're not the Bruiserweights, are they? What are they?
No, I don't know. I don't know if they go in. I really don't know what they go in by. I mean, have they even said yet? I mean, traditionally it was British Strong Style, but I think they got rid of that name now.
Yeah, they probably couldn't trademark it. That's why.
Yeah.
So you have that. You have the Creeds. You have Street Profits. You have enough teams now, and I'm sure there's others that my mind's drawing a blank. But you have enough teams that if you wanted to actually build a tag team division, you can, that people will care about. But this was a great match. I thought it was a solid match, and both teams should be proud of themselves, regardless of who won that one.
Absolutely. Apart from Pete Dunne, who can lose. But now, just like his football team. But let's look in the comments.
Really
yeah, I'm no longer Pete Dunne and Adam Copeland. They're in the same boat for me. The ship sailed with them. We got David Marge saying finally he's made a live welcome to the show. I mean, Bobby Petito liked watching them. Well, they are great. They are really fun to watch, and just like Tottenham are in real life. They play good football. They just don't get good results, thankfully. But let's now move on. Let's talk about the main event. Randy Orton, Sami Zayn, Elimination Chamber qualifier, and they've done next to nothing with Sami Zayn on this road to WrestleMania. But that's now a storyline. They are now turning this into a storyline. Sami Zayn's cutting promos saying, last year I was in the main event. This time last year I was main event in Elimination Chamber. And now I'm doing nothing. There's no clear path to me for WrestleMania. But tonight I have an opportunity and I'm going to take that opportunity. And he took that opportunity and he lost it. But he did lose it against Randy Orton. So no shame there. Very obviously that was quite a predictable outcome, Randy Orton moving on to the Chamber. But what I'm interested in now is where this Sami Zayn storyline's going. And I'm really hoping there's a plan here. I hope they're not just doing this because there really isn't a plan and they're just seeing if something works out. I hope they're doing, something where he's, really fighting to get just something at WrestleMania and then just something comes along right at the end. Maybe we'll hear a coin drop and Kazuchika Okada debuts against Sami Zayn at WrestleMania, similar to how Shinsuke Nakamura debuted. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's definitely possible, but I hope there's a plan for him, no matter what that plan may be. I mean, how did you feel about this main event match?
This was one of those ones that it was exciting, but also in the same part, it was predictable. And it was unfortunate because I've always been a Sami Zayn fan. So, the underdog from the underground. And, prior to that, El Generico. So, I'm a big fan of his, but going into it, I'm like, oh, man, Sammy's not going to be in the Chamber. Because you knew. You knew. Like, I would have rather Sammy had beaten somebody else and Orton beat somebody else if they were both in the Chamber. I would love to see Sammy eventually become world champion. He's not taking Romans, at least not at the moment. But if you wanted to go a feud at some point with Drew and him over the title, because I'm assuming that Seth's probably dropping at Mania. I'm assuming, depending on his injury.
Yeah.
Or a cash-in, whatever. But if you're building up Sammy of going, I'm enough of me playing the nice guy. I'm not waiting for my opportunity anymore. I am taking my opportunity. And if you really want to get him motivated to push and to go for that title at some point, whether it's Mania, wherever you want to do it, because if they would have went triple threat with this of Drew, Sammy, and Rollins, in theory they could. They could still do it if they wanted to. The same way they're doing Roman, Rock, and Cody, probably. I think you could do that. And if both nights are main evented by 2 triple threat matches for world titles, I got to be honest, I'm interested.
I think it would have to open night 1 with one, and then close night 2. I'd have Bailey Io main event night 1.
Whatever you want to do, whether you want to open the show, close the show, it doesn't matter. But if they want to end on a positive note, I'm assuming, yeah, either scenario. If Sammy came out with the title or Bailey, I think the crowd would love that. To close night 1, I think they would love it. It's these two. As far as I know, I believe they said last night they've never faced each other before. So would love to see more of it. Like it's one of those things that you knew, okay, they're not going to overdo it because again, it's TV, not pay-per-view. And Orton's going over and there's not really a feud here. It's just fighting for a spot in the chamber. But I thought they did a nice job with this. I thought, Sammy looked strong. He lost by the RKO, which is known to come out of nowhere. I thought it was smart, and you can kind of build with it where Sammy, you're doing more of those sit-down interviews with like him in the arena, like depressed and going, I don't know where I'm going to go with this. And we know Sammy's dealing with his, in real life, some personal depression and stuff like that. If he can do that and motivate other people or to inspire other people to get out of their own depression, if it's helpful, there's a positive coming out of it. And I think Sammy would be fully on board if that's the direction this is going. I don't know if it is, but if that's where they're going with it, that's always a good thing. If you could turn a negative into a positive.
Absolutely. No, you are bang on right there. And Sami Zayn's somebody who, whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, in kayfabe, he always connects with people. He always draws on people's emotions, and he's got a natural ability to do that. And he's got a natural babyface ability to do that as well, which is so rare in professional wrestling nowadays. It really is to have that connection with the audience. And it's something which he naturally has. And WWE, you should always know what you're doing with Sami Zayn, because that is a trait which is so rare. You should not be, having any chance of wasting it in any way, any shape or form. We've got Jason saying, I don't know if it was selling, but Randy looked like he was really hurting. How long does he have left? He's saying until he's 50. I don't know if I believe it.
Listen, he could say whatever he wants. His body's going to answer that question. Ultimately, we saw what happened with Edge. We saw what happened with Christian. They weren't planning on retiring when it happened. Now, granted, they came back, but at the time, they weren't expecting it. But like what you said with Sammy, that's organic. No company could fake that. As much as, we talk about, Bryan Danielson with the Yes movement. WWE couldn't create the Yes movement. The crowd forced their hand. Same thing with Cody now with quote unquote the Woe movement. That whatever you want to call, that's what people are calling, but really you can't cause that to happen. But can you throw more gasoline on the fire and boost up the flames? Yeah, you could do that, and they kind of did that. Whether that was the plan or pivot, but back to that point. But you could build on that fire, but you can't create it yourself. So with Sammy, it's the same way. You can run with that. You can absolutely run with Sammy as an underdog. I wasn't supposed to win the championship.
Yeah.
Now I've won it. When Sammy eventually, and I do think he's probably going to win a world title at some point. Hunter loves him. I think it's going to happen. I'm hoping.
I hope so. I really do hope you're right there. Daz Reynolds is asking, do you guys talk about AEW as well? Well, funny you should say that, Daz, because if you watch tomorrow's show, we will be talking about AEW Collision. Same time, 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, and 12 p.m. Pacific. Before the Super Bowl, so as you're getting ready for the days, you're getting ready to watch the Super Bowl, watch us! Get yourself hyped up, talk a bit of AEW Collision. We'll be back tomorrow, but as far as today goes, that brings this show to a close. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're on Twitch, please give us a follow. Same on Twitter, same on Instagram, all that good stuff. If you're on Spotify, please give us a cheeky 5 stars. You guys know that makes my day. Thank you to Anthony for joining me today. It's been a really fun show, and we will see you guys tomorrow, but have a good Saturday evening. Peace!